Vauxhall has long been one of the most popular car brands in Britain. But even this most straight-laced of car makers has traditionally had a darker, racier side.
115 brake horsepower.
In recent years, there's been a conspicuous absence of hot Vauxhalls.
But the days of hot Vauxhalls may well be back, because this is the Astra GSe.
But before you get too excited, Vauxhall is adamant GSe is not a replacement for GSI and VXR. It's supposed to be a contemporary take on sustainable performance, apparently. GSe is a new subdivision, and it launches on the Astra hatchback, the Astra Sports Tourer and the Grandland SUV, which gets 300 brake horsepower. And while GSe might sound new, it does have some credibility, as the badge appeared on the Opel Monza in the mid-1980s. And Opel teased the launch of these new GSe models for 2023 with the Manta GSe ElektroMOD, a stunning restomod that reimagined the classic 1970s Manta into a modern-day electric car.
Now on paper, this has got some pretty good stats. 225 horsepower, a 1.6 litre turbocharged engine, stiffened suspension, and a whole load of extra sporty bits on the body and on the inside. It also looks, well, come on, it looks chuffing brilliant, doesn't it?
It has to be said though, while the GSe bits give a bit more swagger to the already fantastic looking Mark 8 Astra, it's a subtle makeover. Vauxhall has deliberately avoided the boy racer image of earlier hot Vauxhalls, which could come as a disappointment. But this is deliberate for one very good reason. It's a plug-in hybrid. So that 1.6 litre petrol engine is mated to a 12.4 kilowatt-hour battery, giving up to 40 miles of pure electric running, a claimed fuel consumption of 257 mpg, and CO2 emissions of just 25 grams per kilometre.
Now, the thing to understand about this car is that it's not an out-and-out performance hot hatchback. It's a car with a couple of sides, really. Now, that plug-in hybrid system means that you can just cruise around the city on pure electric power. And of course, by being a PHEV, it's very good for company car drivers. But this car does, well, things do spicing up a little bit when you put it into sport mode. I rarely come across cars whose personality changes quite so quickly when you put it into sport mode. The steering wakes up. The screens in front of me, the pure panel screens, they all go red. The engine wakes up, the gearbox gets a little bit sharper. This actually does feel pretty racy, actually. Vauxhall say that they've done a lot of tuning to various parts of the car. The steering is quicker, the suspension is stiffer than the normal plug-in hybrid. And I have to say, I can feel the changes to the steering in particular. It does feel there's just a little bit more bite to the way this car turns in. Curiously though, with the suspension, Vauxhall have said that they've improved the comfort but also improved the amount of control on the road. And at low speeds, I can definitely feel it's stiffer. But at high speeds, in actual fact, this car seems to sort of slacken off a little bit. And at times, this car just feels a little bit too soft, a little bit too wafty, which is not something you want from a performance-minded hatchback. The thing with this Astra GSe though, it is is inherently a compromise. That plug-in hybrid system, Vauxhall might say that the addition of electric power might improve performance, but this car just feels hamstrung by the fact it's got an environmental conscience. You really do have to rag this car to get the most amount of performance from it, and when you do, it all sounds a little bit strained and a little bit rough. Now, Vauxhall say they've given this car a GSe soundtrack, but I'm sorry, I don't notice it any different to the normal plug-in hybrid. You still get that rather dull, monotonous sounding 1.6 litre four-cylinder petrol engine. And whilst Vauxhall really have worked on the chassis and it does feel a little bit sharper to turn in, this is by no means a hot hatchback. If you do throw this car into a tight corner, all you get is pretty lurid understeer. And because it's a plug-in hybrid, this car does feel a little bit heavy over the front end. It doesn't have quite the sharpness, the poise, the bite that you might want from a hot hatchback.
The chief reason for this are the tyres. To improve its green credentials, Vauxhall has fitted normal tyres that offer a good blend of grip, better fuel consumption and safety. And while you can take manual control over the 8-speed automatic gearbox, the box will intervene if it feels the car is in too low a gear or you're straying too near the red line. This, and the fact that the 1.6 litre engine sounds strained and harsh when the car is driven hard, are things that blunt the GSe's sporty aspirations.
Now, it sounds like I've got a bit of a downer on the Astra GSe. I haven't. It's a nice, pleasant, sporty version of the Astra. It's just that it's not quite the performance hatchback which perhaps you and I were led to believe.
In many ways, the Astra GSe is just a sporty trim level, rather than the start of a performance renaissance for Vauxhall. And when viewed like that, the Astra GSe offers quite a lot. Costing £40,550, it certainly isn't cheap, but run one as a company car and it starts to make a lot more sense, especially when it costs just £150 more to buy than the regular Astra PHEV in ultimate top spec guise, and yet it has over 40 brake horsepower more and those desirable tweaks to the steering and suspension.
But if you're approaching this Vauxhall as a return to performance Griffin badged hot hatchbacks, you will be sorely disappointed.